I'm on a search for the elusive tree. I'm looking today if I can find any evidence on this campus that I might find trees, any trees that show me that they are coniferous or deciduous. It's an expensive search. I had to buy this fancy camera and a coffee. I'm ready to go. Are you ready? Let's get started. Okay, so here's the trees. And beyond this fence, oh look, there's a forest and a highway. But between, on the other side of the highway, there's little mini forests, trees that they planted. And they look to be like fir trees. Yes, they look to be like fir trees. There's interspersed with little coniferous trees, or deciduous trees. But when we look in the background, there's a forest of birch trees. Look, wood-bearing trees like Douglas firs. Right in the foreground here, we've got a tree. I'll zoom back and get you just a little bit more. We use it for decoration, and for making other non-house type buildings. As you can see, it bends quite a bit. It is not straight like these trees beside it. More fir trees. The identification of the trees are not necessarily pertinent at this time, but for construction purposes, when we look at one of these trees, we notice one distinct thing about the tree. Wood bearing, lumber bearing. You can cut this tree up into many sections and produce materials for building buildings. Buildings, we like buildings. We live in buildings. We go to school in buildings. We teach our children inside of buildings. Another good thing that we can use it for is railings. If you notice, this has little lines, little indentations all over it. It is pressure treated and chemically treated wood. It can be just about anything at this point. Generally, it could be cedar and pine and fir. They treat it with a chemical so it does not rot, so it stays. That doesn't mean that it can't get this funny green stuff called moss on it. But that's why they cover it in green. This is painted wood siding. Another good use for wood. But when we look out into the trees, we see them, again, growing in the ground. Being a natural resource, a resource that we can use and grow and regrow when we cut them like that. That is called a stump. Here it is, right here, growing in the ground, just like this one right in front of us. They're growing, unlike a certain material called metal, iron, steel, like those bolts, like this railing, which has to come from rocks, like those. Iron ore, which they use to make steel. Why is that important? Because a tree needs ground and it needs water and sunlight, and generally it grows, and we got lots of it. It's called renewable resource. Down here we have rocks. Rocks have to be mined with dump trucks and diggers and bulldozers, and then we have to smelt the iron out, and we have to make it. We have to do lots of things for it before it ever becomes built. It costs less to make wood into building materials than it does to make rocks, iron ore, into metal bars. It is cheaper. Stay tuned. More adventures in wood. I'm here now, deep within the woods, looking for any evidence in these woods that there might be structures naturally formed out of wood. They can be just about any kind. What's that? Is that a wooden structure? It looks like a log cabin. Let's take a look at this log cabin. It seems to be logs. The branches have been taken off of them, and they've been shaped in such a way, right here, to interlock and to be stacked one on top of the other, right up to the wall height to form walls. And then on the top, if we can step back here a little further, they have put a roof that has wooden shakes. That is taking a round of wood, approximately 18 inches in length. That is kind of like that size, maybe a little shorter. And they slice it like that, which makes, you can see the detail here, these shakes. Now they are covered in wood, or in debris from the other trees, needles and moss and whatnot. But the point is, you can make a house out of just the logs. And boy, oh boy, is it a nice looking house. It's actually, oh my goodness, I'm still on campus. It's a classroom. I feel like I've been here before. Another thing you can make with wood, you can cut rounds and make a bench. That's cedar right there. You notice by the type of bark that it has, you could cut it off in little strips. Stays together, very fibrous. And then they've taken a plank, which they've just sawed right off the wood, not even giving it an edge, and put nails into it. Wow, nails! Amazing! Little pieces of metal you hammer down and it sticks. That's great. And here's a door made of tongue and groove. We'll get into a detail about that later. And they've done the same with the rafters. So let's see if we can back up here and see another one. Oh, here's the shakes again. And the shakes, they layer them one on top of the other, starting here and moving up. And this plank here, it's called gable end trim, and it is a plank of wood, and it is a very long straight piece. It's probably yes, it's a 2x10, and it's cut at an angle. Amazing! A house, a log house built out of wood. Now, as I walk up these stairs, I look at the detail of these concrete walls. At one time, that indentation was filled with a piece of plastic that was connected to the rods, and on the other side, there was a piece of plywood up against this concrete which held that pin and that piece of plastic in place. So concrete can be held together by pieces of metal and wood. Another good use for construction because it's flat, as we discussed. The whole place was covered in wood at one time. How interesting. Oh, we gotta pull this door. So we're now on a definite and an inside search for pieces of wood. How wood? What other things wood might be constructed as? Oh my goodness. You have no idea what I've just found. Controversial. Let's take a look. We've got wooden statues, pygmy wooden statues of naked people. One with a long goatee and one with a bowl on her head, probably for carrying some water, but they are naked. However, they are made of wood, probably some hardwood for sculpting. Why is this significant? Because you can't do this with another construction material called metal. So it's a very easily worked with material for making art. Cool. Let's keep going. Again, there's doors made of wood. Lots of other cool things. Let's keep moving.